All right, welcome to Florida Sports Sunday. This is not the Will Austin Show. This is Florida Sports Sunday here on Blog Talk Radio. We haven't done it on Blog Talk Radio yet, and I thought that this was a perfect opportunity. This was a perfect week to concentrate on the college football playoffs, the selection committee, and if you've listened to any of my shows here on Spreaker, also this show is going to air on Spreaker as well. What you'll know is that I am not a fan of the selection committee. I have not been a fan of the selection committee. And at this point, I continue not to be a fan. Although, I'll tell you, full transparency, my Florida State Seminoles are in the top four. And what people kept saying ended up being true, that all Florida State had to do was win. I'll tell you when we get back. I'll tell you why that was true, and the only reason why that was true. Because there were three other teams. There are now three other teams that's not what they had to do to get in. And there's a team that's out of the top four who now doesn't have a chance at a national championship. That all they did was win. They had a loss early, but everybody in the top five, their top five, won. So we'll talk about that. Listen, if you want to give us a ring, if you're listening, you want to give us a ring, you can call us at 646-200-3246. Get your digs in, get your voice heard. Let's get out there and talk about this a little bit, because I think that it's important. I think that if you are interested in college football, if you're interested in having an equitable system that really, again, let's talk about this, that really finds out who the best team is in Division I college football. If that's what you're interested in, give us a call tonight at 646-200-3246. We're waiting to hear. We're waiting to hear from you. If you have a suggestion on how to make it better, and looking forward to hearing from you. Believe it or not, of course, those of you who listen to me, you know that I've got my opinion on making it better. That is for sure. So we'll talk about the things that I think will make it better. And let's hear what you've got. If you've got an idea about how to make this system better, I'm interested in hearing it, and I think that we will share this show. The show is an hour show with as many people on the Four Letter Network as we can, on Fox News as we can, the NCAA as we can. Because if you want to, if the supporter of the universities want a system that works for everybody, then I think at this point we have to wrest this system out of the hands of the TV networks, because that's what this has turned into. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more Florida Sports Sunday. My name is Will Austin. We'll be back right after these messages.
You have discriminating taste and an eye for the impressive. You need to surround yourself with not only beauty, but quality. That is why you are looking for a new construction home for you and your family. Let the experts at New Homes of Tampa Bay guide you to and through your new home purchase process. With access to hundreds of model homes throughout the Tampa Bay area, New Homes of Tampa Bay is sure to find that perfect match of budget and beauty you are looking for. New Homes of Tampa Bay can save you thousands of dollars while costing you nothing. Call us today before you start your new home search. New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452 and at www.newhomestpa.com.
By the time I was in the 4th grade, I was 2 grade levels behind, and I am thankful my godmother made the choice to put me in a different school, thanks to the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship. Now, I am a college graduate, entering grad school. The Florida Tax Credit Scholarship gives low-income parents more options to find a place that works best for their child's education. This year is giving more than 68,000 Florida school children a new chance. Now the teachers' unions and school boards have filed a lawsuit to take away the scholarships from these children. That's just wrong. These kids are just like me, mainly minorities from low-income families, on scholarship at the same school that worked for me. Please don't kick them out. Drop the suit and save Florida's tax credit scholarship.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/bloodpressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio, the Wacko Network. All right, we're back with more Florida Sports Sunday here on Blog Talk Radio tonight, and we're going to air this show also on Spreaker.com. And I think that it's an interesting weekend. We do this show, for my Blog Talk Radio listeners, we do this show on Spreaker every Sunday at about 10 o'clock. We've done it through the entire football season, and we're going to continue to do it throughout throughout December and January. Because we've got, of course, the college football playoffs, so to speak, and the pro football playoffs, the beginning of basketball season. We're going to be hip deep in hockey in a little bit, and all the other sports that continue. And today's show is brought to you by the great folks of New Homes of Tampa Bay. New Homes of Tampa Bay, your one-stop shop to getting help with new homes construction. If you're interested in buying a home that's brand new, everything brand new, the carpet, no one's stinky foot juice has been on the carpet. No one's used the bathroom there or the refrigerator. That's the kind of home you're looking for. Then my friends at New Homes Tampa Bay, 813-770-9452. My friend Gary, give him a call, or go to www.newhomestpa.com. Newhomestpa.com. Thank you again, Gary, and all the great folks over at New Homes Tampa Bay for sponsoring this program. Listen, before we get into college football, let's go ahead and give you a rundown on what happened in the big boy leagues, where playoff teams are picked by wins and losses. Playoff teams are picked by wins and losses. That's, as far as I'm concerned, the only way to do it if you're looking for a real playoff system, and the NFL seems to have one. Let's look at those games right now. It is 5:31 to go in the second quarter. It is the San Diego Chargers 14, the New England Patriots 6. Earlier today, it was the Detroit Lions doubling up Tampa Bay Buccaneers 34-17. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers showing up in Cincinnati and giving the Bengals not such a good homecoming. The Bengals have been on the road for 3 games in a row. They came back, and Ben Roethlisberger went crazy with was 25 for 39 for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the Steelers over the Bengals 42-21. The Steelers scored 25 points in the fourth quarter. Aaron Dalton was 21 of 29 for 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Roethlisberger at the end, it was just way too much Steelers for the Bengals. 25 points in the fourth quarter to win 42-21. It was the St. Louis Rams 24. The Washington Redskins have yet to score. It is the third shutout in a row for the Rams. It was the New York Giants getting on track with a 36-7 win over the Tennessee Titans. The Carolina Panthers 41, the New Orleans Saints 10 in a division game. That's an important loss for the Saints because that division is still fairly close right now. The Falcons are leading that division with a less than winning record. It was the Minnesota Vikings winning at home to the New York Jets 30-24. The Baltimore Ravens 28, the Miami Dolphins 13. It was the Colts 1 point better than the Browns in Cleveland 25-24. Andrew Luck was 24 of 53 for 294 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He also rushed. He had 5 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown, counted for 3 touchdowns today, all of their touchdowns. Hoyer started for Cleveland. There was this earlier last week. There was a sort of controversy to see if Johnny Manziel would start there. But Byron Hoyer was a starter. He was 14 of 31 for 140 yards and no touchdowns. It was the Colts 25 and the Cleveland Browns at home 24. The Jacksonville Jaguars suffered another loss at the hands of the Houston Texans, 27-13 in J-Town. The Broncos at home show up against the Bills 24-17. It was the Chiefs and the Cardinals in Phoenix. The Cardinals win 17-14. They're back on their winning ways and crack double-digit wins this year. They are at 10-3. People were wondering if they would. People were wondering out loud on the major sports networks this afternoon if they would win another game. Apparently, they will. And right now, they are at 10-3, undefeated at home with a win today over the Kansas City Chiefs, 17-14, in that low-scoring affair. But it was the Seahawks being able to stifle that fast start offense of the Philadelphia Eagles and winning today in Philadelphia 24-17. It was the Raiders manning up at the wrong time, manning up at the complete wrong time at home to beat the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the San Francisco 49ers. Are things crazy there? Are things really out of hand there? Is it time for Harbaugh to leave? What's going on? Well, I'm not a conspiratorialist. I don't get into all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, at this point, as good as the San Francisco 49ers are, as talented as they are, there's no way that they should lose to the Oakland Raiders, who are now 2-11. This is not the time to man up, Oakland. I've told this to Tampa Bay. This is not the time to man up. This is not the time to go on a 4-game winning streak. Lay down. Your future is at stake. Lay down. Lay down. These teams, Tampa Bay, the Jets, and Oakland are in the Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston sweepstakes. You don't want to screw this up. But it was the Raiders today, 24, the San Francisco 49ers, 13. On Thursday, it was the Cowboys getting fired up in the Windy City and beating the Bears 41-28. Let's look at how the divisions are on tomorrow night on December 8th in Green Bay in Lambeau. It is currently the NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons visit the Green Bay Packers. The Falcons, with a win, will have sole possession of first place in the NFC South division. Let's look at the divisions and see how they're going, how the standings are, what teams are headed to the playoffs with only three more weeks to go, because that's how real football does it. not about opinions, it's about wins and losses. And leading the NFC East right now is the Philadelphia Eagles at 9-4, followed by the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are looking for a win. They are on a one-game winning streak, and of course we talked about Philadelphia lost today. In the NFC North, it is Green Bay at 9-3. They play tomorrow. With a win, they will be in sole possession of first place in the NFC North, followed by one game by the Detroit Lions, who beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today. Green Bay is on a 4-game winning streak, ladies and gentlemen. One of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. And we talked about the yes, pathetic but viable NFC South. With a win tomorrow against Green Bay, the Atlanta Falcons would go to 6-7 and be in sole possession of first place in the NFC South, winning a division championship. But it's going to be hard to beat the Packers in Lambeau. Again, the Packers have been on a 4-game winning streak. They have a point differential of 113 points, plus 113, where the Atlanta Falcons have a point differential of -8. They have a point differential of -8. And what that means is that so far in the season, the Green Bay Packers have outscored their opponents by 113 points. And so far in the season, the Atlanta Falcons have been outscored by their opponents by 8 points. Let's look at the NFC West, where you have Arizona, who got stuck. But with a win today, they are in sole possession of the NFC West at 10-3, followed by Seattle at 9-4. Seattle is hot; they've won 3 in a row, and San Francisco is ice cold. They're at 7-6 in third place, not looking to make the playoffs this year at this point, with 2 losses in a row. St. Louis has won two games in a row and might indeed overtake San Francisco. How big a failure is that for San Francisco? Especially with the expectations that they have, with the talent that they have there, to end up in the NFC Championship game one year and the next year end up finishing at the bottom of that division. Boy, oh boy. Interesting things going on there. Let's quickly take a look at the AFC. The AFC East with the New England Patriots playing right now. The Patriots are ahead of the Miami Dolphins at 9-3. They're looking to get back on their winning ways after losing last week. They've got a point differential of 125 points, so they can score. The Dolphins are tied with the Buffalo Bills at 7-6. Of course, the bottom of that division is the New York Jets at 2-11. They've lost 3 in a row. I think they've got the memo. Just lay down. There's no reason to go on a 4-game winning streak now and screw your future. Stay in the Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston sweepstakes. Lay down, Jets. Lay down. And in the most competitive division in football, where it looks like a team with a winning record won't actually make the playoffs, is the AFC North, where you have Cincinnati right now at 8-4 after losing today. Also, interestingly enough, at 8-4, they've got a -8 point differential as well. The same as the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, though, are their record is 5-7, while the Cincinnati Bengals record is 8-4. It seems like that offense just cannot get off the snide there. They are followed by Pittsburgh at 8-5, who has a 43-point differential. Maybe that had something to do with a couple of weeks where Ben Roethlisberger throws 6 touchdown passes in successive weeks. And then there's at 8-5 is the Baltimore Ravens, who won today with a point differential of 101 points. Followed by the bottom of that division, the Cleveland Browns, who've lost 2 in a row. They need to find some offense. They need to find out if Hoyer is going to be the guy, and they need to go on a streak here to have a shot. And they still have a shot. They're only 1 game out at this point. They're at the bottom of the division at 7-6, but this division is wide freaking open. And I think because of the nature of the other divisions, with New England going to probably lead that division, and there's not going to be a wild card out of the East. Both wild cards can end up coming out of the AFC North. So there's lots to fight for, not just to win that division, but to come in second or even third in that division. In the AFC South, it is Indianapolis at 9-4, leading that division. They're on a 3-game winning streak and seem to be rocking with a 100-point differential. They have scored 407 points. You know, when Peyton Manning left there, there was a lot of questions to see if Andrew Luck was going to be the guy, but apparently he is. They've scored 407 points, more than anybody else in the AFC or the NFC right now. It is the most prolific from a point standpoint offense in the league. It's the Indianapolis Colts, and they lead that division by 2 games. They're 9-4. Houston Texans, who have won 2 in a row, are at 7-6. And out in the AFC West, it is the Denver Broncos, led by Peyton Manning, at 10-3 over the next team is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have lost 3, and the Broncos have won 3 in a row. They seem to be going separate directions. It's the San Diego Chargers that are hot on their heels too. They have let's see here. I don't want that. Can I not have that anymore? Yeah, let's not have that anymore. Just talking to my computer. How about that? That there you go. They're followed by the San Diego Chargers, rather. Denver's followed by San Diego, who's at 8-4, and then the Kansas City Chiefs at 7-6. Apparently, again, Oakland did not get the memo. Lay down, Raiders. You're at 2-11. You don't want to screw it up. Jacksonville got the memo. They laid down. The Bucks got the memo. They laid down. The Jets got the memo. They laid down. This is your future. No reason at this point to do anything crazy like man up and win football games. No reason at this point to do that. You've got to start thinking more strategically, because if you don't, you're not going to get any better anytime soon. It's over. No reason to go on a 4-game winning streak and win 6 games this year and go 6-10. There's nothing impressive about 6-10. There's nothing impressive with 5-11. Lay down. Lay down. Your future is at stake, Oakland. Lay down. Lay down. Although I'm sure that the Jaguars and the Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were glad that they won. And I'm sure the Washington Redskins are hoping that maybe they win a few more. That way they can at least get ahead of the log jam of teams who are at 2-11 right now. Think about this. There are teams in the NFL right now that are 2-11, and there's more than one of them. It's kind of amazing. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at 2-11. The New York Jets are at 2-11. The Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars in the same division in the AFC South are both at 2-11. Tennessee Titans have lost 7 in a row. 7 in a row. Wow, they haven't even spread them out. And the Oakland Raiders, of course, are 2-11, and they won today for as much good as that's doing them. Anyway, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Florida Sports Sunday show right after these messages. We're going to delve into college football because that's what we need to talk about. That's how we need to talk about it. We'll be back right after these messages.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments
only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Dear Smokey Bear, for teaching us how to prevent wildfires for 70 years, outdoor lovers would like to say something.
Happy 70th, big guy. Let's bring it in for a bear hug. Come on.
For safety tips, visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state foresters, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Behold, we are in the presence of champions. Fantasy sports legends who have earned hundreds of thousands of dollars playing online. Meet Arlie Gonzalez. Average guy, superior sports knowledge. Picked a team in minutes and won enough to throw the party of a lifetime. In outer space. Former accountant Derek Bradley. DraftKings One Day Fantasy Baseball took him from a guy with holes in his underpants to a guy with bikini models in them.
How do we turn our love of fantasy sports into reality cash?
DraftKings.com. They have one-day games, so you're not locked in. It's like a new season every time you play. And best of all, you could win a shipload of money.
Play for the largest one-day cash pools in all of fantasy sports. Go to DraftKings.com and enter the Baseball Chase for the Crown event, paying out over $5 million. Enter promo code BONUS and we'll double your deposit. Get to DraftKings.com now.
All right, welcome back to Florida Sports Sunday here on Blog Talk Radio. We're going to also air this on Spreaker tonight. We normally are on Spreaker at 10 o'clock every Sunday to talk about what's happened in sports, and especially as it relates to Florida. We have some great news out of Florida State. Great news out of Florida State. The women's soccer team is headed, by virtue of their wins, and after blanking or shutting out Stanford, are heading to the NCAA National Championship game against UVA, I believe it is. So congratulations to the Lady Seminoles soccer team that's headed to a national championship game. Now, the cool thing about Florida State is, and I've already said that I'm completely a homer, is that all the programs there are strong. Football, baseball, basketball is decent, becoming more competitive. Softball, again, baseball, track, national championship track teams, national championship tennis teams, national championship golf teams. A really strong sports program there, and one that all of us, all of us alum can be proud of. So. All right, let's get into what happened today. The college football rankings came out today from the selection committee. Now, we're going to get to that in a second. I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the game. Let's wrap up the game from this weekend. On Friday, it was number 2 ranked Oregon 51 against number 7th ranked Arizona in the Pac-12 championship game. 51-13, Oregon beats Arizona in the Pac-12 championship game. On Saturday evening, it was in the Dr. Pepper ACC championship game held in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was Florida State University 37, the 11th ranked, just 4th ranked Florida State, the 11th ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 35. Florida State wins by 2. And in the SEC championship game held in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, it was the Alabama Crimson Tide, number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide beating the 16th ranked Missouri Tigers 42-13. It was TCU over Iowa State 55-3 in a Big 12 matchup. TCU is 11-1, and Iowa State was 2-10, 2-10 and 0-9 in the Big 12. So obviously not a great team. The outcome there was not unexpected. What was unexpected, it was 5th ranked, which I find amazing. It was 5th ranked Ohio State, 12-1 overall, 8-0 now in the Big Ten in the Big Ten championship game, with no problem with over Wisconsin, even with their brand new quarterback. There was a lot of talk last week about, well, this guy's third string. He's third string for a reason. Blah 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 blah. Ohio State 59, Wisconsin 0, and in another Big 12 matchup, it was number 6 ranked Baylor facing 9th ranked Kansas State, and they won 38-27. Oklahoma State manned up at the end and became bowl eligible with a win over 20th ranked Oklahoma 38-35 in overtime. And in the Mountain West Championship game, that I watched some of that late last night, was Boise State on the Smurf turf, 28, Fresno State. Bowl eligible Fresno State 14. Wow, I mean that game was on so late. I watched that after my wife and I went to a Christmas function, and then came back and watched the end of the Florida State game, and then I watched the end of the Boise State Fresno State game. Good God, that was on today. It was so late, and I had to get up so early. But you know what? It was great stuff. We enjoyed it. And there are games next week. Who the hell is playing next week? Oh yeah, the only game next week is the Army-Navy game at 3:00. Navy is 6-5. They're visiting West Point. It's going to be in Baltimore. So that should be a, you know what? I think I'll watch it because that'll be a fun game to watch. Because I don't have a horse in that race. It'll just be fun to watch. Golly, getting back to that. All right, the college football playoff rankings are out. But before we get to them, I promise we're going to get to them because I really want to talk about them. And I really want to talk about them a lot. And I was hoping that we'd get some calls in at 646-200-3246 because I really want to talk about them a lot. Because I know I have an opinion. Crazy, huh? Let's talk about the AP poll. The AP poll has, let's go to the top 10. We always have it in the top 10. We always go from the top 10 up. At number 10 in the AP poll is Georgia Tech, the ACC runner-up at 10-3. Ole Miss at 9-3. Number 8 is Mississippi State. Number 7 is Michigan State at 10-2. At 11-1, TCU. Yeah, that's right, TCU. And at number 5, Ohio State. Number 4, Baylor. And number 3, with 8 first-place votes, is the Ducks out of Oregon. And in second place in the AP poll is Florida State, 13-0 with 25 first-place votes. And in number 1 is the Alabama Crimson Tide with 27 first-place votes and a record of 12-1. Let's look at the USA Today poll from 10 up. Number 10 is at 9-3. Is Kansas State. Number 9, the ACC runner-up, Georgia Tech at 10-3. Number 8, Mississippi State at 10-2. Number 7, Michigan State at 10-2. And with one first-place vote in The 6th spot in the USA Today poll is TCU at 11-1. Number 5 is Baylor at 11-1. Number 4 is Ohio State. Number 3 is Oregon with 7 first-place votes. Number 2 is Florida State with 25 first-place votes and undefeated. Number 1 in the USA Today poll is the Alabama Crimson Tide with 28 first-place votes, and they are in the number 1 slot. Let's look at how it worked out in the college football playoff rankings. And this is the final college football committee rankings. In the number 4 spot, off the list from last week. Let's go back to week 15. There you go. So we can, thank you for getting that back for me. I appreciate that. In week 15, last week, Ohio State was on the outside looking in. J.T. Barrett was hurt, is out for the season with a broken ankle. Their third-string quarterback was coming in. There was a lot of talk all week about would they crack the top 4, knowing full well that they may indeed not be as good as they were before because of the loss of their quarterback. So they went from 5th to 4th. Inside now, the top 4, which is all that really matters when you're talking about the college football playoff rankings, is Ohio State at 12-1. At number 3 is Florida State. Florida State gets a bounce, gets a bump. The undefeated defending national champion goes from 4th to 3 in the college football playoff ranking poll. God, I hate this. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. Number 2 stays the same, is the Oregon Ducks at number 2, and of course the number 1 team, according to the College Football Playoff Committee, are the Alabama Crimson Tide at 12-1. There's only one team. Now you start looking at these rankings. There's one team that's undefeated. In all 25 of those teams, there's one team that has not lost a game, and that team is Florida State University Seminoles. They are 13-0, 29-0 in the past 29 games. So the playoff or the play-in, we're going to call it a play-in, games end up being this. It is number 2 ranked Oregon versus Florida State at the Rose Bowl. A West Coast game for Oregon. Oregon gets a West Coast game. Florida State has to travel. It's at 5:00 p.m. on New Year's Day. At 3.5 hours later, on the East Coast, will be the Alabama Crimson Tide versus Ohio State at the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. The winner of the Oregon Florida State game and the Alabama Ohio State game will play in a national championship game. Now, let's talk about this. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm a Florida State fan. I have been a Florida State fan for a while. A long while. And yes, I've been critical of the committee all season. I have been critical of the committee all season. And even before, frankly, even before they actually had any picks. And I'll tell you why. I am of the mind that this is not how. Now, if you disagree with me, give me a call. Give me a call. I'll listen to you. I don't believe you. I'll listen to you. Give me a call at 646-200-3246. And I'm pretty sure right now we've got some listeners. We've got some listeners from College Sports News that have that at least favorite my tweet. So I'm guessing that you're listening. Tina, if you're listening, give me a call. If you're Tina, maybe an Ohio State fan, give me a call. 646-200-3246. The best American Football League and maybe the best professional sports league in the world right now is the NFL. Actually, obviously one of the more profitable leagues right now is the NFL, and they play American-style football, not football with a round ball. They play football, and they've got a playoff system. They've got a playoff system that, yes, has been tweaked, that has been changed a little bit, but the bones of it have remained the same for a very, very long time. With this system that they've had here that leads to the Super Bowl, it hasn't changed much for 50 years, almost 50 years. Why? Why is that? Because it works. Because it's not based on opinion, which is subjective. It's not based on things like game control and eye test. It's based on one thing and one thing only. Did you win? It's not even based on strength of schedule. It's based on did you win, because the assumption is made that these are all professional teams and blah, 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 blah. And I think that college football could learn a whole bunch from their big brothers at the NFL. The committee in college football already has what they're calling 5 power conferences. So what you do then, if you've got a team in your power conference, then you have made the assumption that these 5 conferences are comparable. You've made the assumption in that having these teams in your power conferences that these conferences are comparable. And if that's been your assumption, by lumping them together and calling them your 5 power conferences, giving them some sort of edge, or definitely sanctifying them, pulling them apart, making them separate from the rest of the group, your assumption has to be that they're comparable. And if that's the case, then all that should matter is wins and losses. My feeling is that all that should matter anyway is wins and losses. Wins and losses. But this committee, under this circumstance, only has 4 teams that they can pick. And they've been picking for half the season. And there's been movement in that top 4. Florida State has gone from 1st to 4th in that top 4. Florida State fans have been told all season, don't worry, just win. Well, wait a minute. There's teams that are now above us, that are above Florida State, that didn't win. So is winning the thing? Obviously, I don't believe that winning, and we learned that winning was the most important thing. And if you're a TCU fan tonight, you have got to be pissed off beyond belief. Because all TCU did was win. That was your biggest, that had to be your biggest thing. All you did was win. You went 8-1 in your conference. You went 11-1 overall. You ended up last week being 3rd. You hopscotched. You jumped over Florida State, who had been in the top 4 all year, to the 3rd position. It seemed a done deal. That it seemed a done deal. That if you could win your last game, and it looks like you were going to because you were playing Iowa State, that you would win that last game, that you would be in the Dr. Pepper Championship Series with wins over 4th-ranked Oklahoma, 20th-ranked West Virginia, 7th-ranked Kansas State. It would seem like you'd be in. However, after thumping Iowa State 55-3, this committee decided that at their 3rd-ranked team was really a 6th-ranked team. As a way to find a way to move Ohio State with a 3rd-string quarterback into the top 4. So winning was not the most important thing, not for TCU at least. It hasn't been for Florida State all year, and it definitely wasn't, TCU. It's interesting conversation today I'm hearing on Sports Talk Radio about we'll hear this all week, about the integrity of the committee. Now, all season long, while Florida State fans were grousing about how their team was being disrespected when all they did was win, now someone else wants to have a conversation about the integrity, this integrity issue with the committee. What bothers me is because I'm a person who's about solutions, about fixing the problems. I don't want to tweak it and play with it. I want to fix it. I'm the guy who, if I've got a computer problem, I have a program that's not working or my computer's not functioning, I'm the person who says, format the hard drive and start over again. Because I'm not interested in anything else but fixing the problem. I just want to fix it. I just want it, and I want the problem not to last long. I don't want to be turned around. I don't want to learn anything from the problem necessarily. I want it to be fixed, and we can fix this. We can't tweak this. This system is based on a lot of false premises. The first false premise is this, that you want the best teams in the playoffs. No, you don't. That's the first mistake. This idea that, and I hear it repeated, and it makes me a little nutty, that we want the 4 best teams. No, you don't. You want the 4 or 8 or 16 most deserving teams. Now, how do you become deserving? By winning games. That's how you become the most deserving. That's how you become deserving. Not the best, because best is a subjective term. And that's measured by different and subjective methods. That's not what you want. Because that's not how they do it in the NFL. It is obvious to anybody who's watching that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a better team right now than the Atlanta Falcons. But you know what? The Atlanta Falcons may have a chance to face the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl. That's what it's all about. Now let's look real quick. Let's look at where's my pen? Anybody see my pen? No? Nobody see my pen? All right, well, thanks. A couple $1,000 in computer equipment. Can't find a 15-cent Bic. Oh, they don't sell 15-cent Bics anymore, do they? Of course not. Oh, here you go. Here's a piece of paper and a pen. Let's see if this pen actually writes. Oh, it does. Praise the Lord. All right, let's look at some of the teams that may be in a playoff system that makes sense. not based on if you think they're the best, but by their record. From the ACC, Florida State would be in. Why? Because they won the ACC championship game. They're 8-0 their conference, 13-0 overall. Let's look and see. Let's look down. The Big 12 would have, and again, you Baylor people and you TCU people, you want to push for this system. You may also want to institute a Big 12 championship game as well. That way you have somewhat of a level playing field. But let's, just for fun, let's put the Big 12 champion as Baylor, because Baylor had the head-to-head over TCU. This is when the Baylor people should have said, "Wait a minute, winning football games doesn't matter." Yes. The pollsters put TCU over Baylor, although Baylor beat TCU. That's why this is awful. That's why this is just terrible. It should be about, did you win? And you Ohio State folks, in the Big Ten, Ohio State would be in, not because they got a present from the committee. It's because they went 8-0 in their conference and they were 12-1 overall and won the Big Ten championship game. That would be why. Handily. That would be why they would be three of the teams that would be in my playoff system. They would be in my playoff system. Let's look at a game that I was up very late watching, because now these teams don't have a shot. The team I'm going to mention next in the current system doesn't have a shot ever, and that bothers me. I watched on the Smurf turf from the Mountain West, Boise State win the Mountain West championship. They're 7-1, 11-2 overall. They should get a shot. In a system that was equitable, they would be in. The Pac-12, Oregon, in the Pac-12, Oregon would still be there. You see, not a lot changes in the SEC because they're 7-1 and they won their conference championship game. Alabama, Crimson Tide, would still be there. Nothing change. A lot doesn't change except that now there is. Let's see, we'll put Bama in here. That we don't have to worry about integrity. They're in. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's just 6. If you take the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, the Mountain West, and the Pac-12. Now, if you wanted to expand it to other conferences or other teams, then you could add 2 more from either of those conferences. And instead of Baylor, including Baylor, you may also add you might also have a chance to add TCU into that mix. You may also, from the SEC, let's look at the SEC. You may put a Memphis in there for winning the American Athletic Conference. Who's in the American Athletic Conference, you ask? It is Memphis, UCF, Cincinnati, East Carolina, Houston, Temple, South Florida, Tulane, Tulsa, SMU, and Connecticut. Oh, well, yeah. All right, so, or you can possibly a Georgia Tech team. Let's look at the SEC, because I know you SEC people are just chomping at the bit to get the whole damn SEC in the championship game. Let's see here. Missouri, even though they lost, even though they were runners-up in the SEC championship game, could end up in your tournament. I know, how crazy would it be to lose to Alabama and end up in the championship playoff series and win the whole thing and not win your conference. Possible. The Pac-12. Let's see. Or I mean, you can again. I mean, let's look back at the SEC. Some of the teams that in the West that might have done well, but all fell off late. Where Mississippi State fell off, they're 6-2. They got exposed. Ole Miss, who was also in the top 4, along with Mississippi State, they ended up losing 3 games. They fell off. Auburn 4-4. LSU 4-4. Texas A&M 3-5, who were supposed to be a lot better, but they weren't. Arkansas 2-6 in the conference. And of course, in the East, there was Missouri, Georgia at 9-3, Florida at 6-5 overall, South Carolina 6-6, Tennessee at 6-6, Kentucky at 5-7, and Vanderbilt winless in their conference and 3-9. But you could have picked 2 more teams and have an 18 playoff, and these would be some pretty intriguing matchups depending on how you seeded them. We're talking about FSU, Baylor, Boise State, Oregon, Ohio State, TCU, and maybe somebody else. And you could just let the division winners play, and all the games would be decided on the field, not by a frickin' selection committee, not by opinion. I know so many people in the BCS didn't like the computers because of the algorithms. Well, they didn't. I'll tell you why they didn't like the computers. They didn't like the computers because there wasn't transparency. You didn't know what the computers were looking at. You didn't know what they were looking at. You didn't know. Do we know? Does anybody know what the people in the committee are looking at? Because it's really interesting that a TCU team could be top 3 with 1 loss, and then win the next week handily and drop 3 spots. How is that possible? What could they have possibly been looking at? Now, I understand the situation with Florida State. The scam would have been released immediately if the undefeated defending national champions doesn't make it into their top 4 the next time. Then all hell breaks loose, and they just weren't going to have that. Florida State was indeed the fly in the ointment because they wouldn't lose. They were put on the ejection seat of 4th of the top 4. So if they lost against Florida in a rivalry game or Miami in a rivalry game, that they would be easily jettisoned out of the top 4, never to return again. Even with a win in the ACC championship game. But Florida State refused to lose. They refused to play along. And now the talking heads around the country are trying to defend this nonsense. This is a TV event, ladies and gentlemen. This has nothing to do with the most deserving teams in college football. This is a TV event put together by Dr. Pepper and ESPN. That's what this is about, and that's what it's about. All right, so we got to get out of here. Go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. God bless you.